Some of the most dangerous and horrifying serial killers ever to exist worldwide. They committed sickening acts against others, being some of the most terrible human beings. Thus, these are the 10 most terrifying serial killers in the world. Dr. Harold Shipman, a 54-year-old medical professional, widely known as Dr. Death. Convicted of causing the death of 15 patients, he was also responsible for the loss of hundreds of other lives between 1975 and 1998. Estimates indicate up to 260 cases, leading to a life sentence. The tragic end of his life unfolded when law enforcement officers found Harold Shipman lifeless while he was still in custody. In the 80s, Russia witnessed the brutal crimes of Andrei Chikatilo, the butcher of Rostov. Born in 1936, he targeted children and sex workers, approaching them at transportation hubs and leaving their bodies in wooded areas. Arrested on November 20, 1990, he confessed to 56 murders, though only 53 bodies were found. Sentenced to death, he displayed apparent remorse and requested an examination of his brain to understand the origins of his monstrosity. But it's useless to repent after causing so many victims, right, folks? Known as the Milwaukee Cannibal, Jeffrey Dahmer was an American serial killer and sexual offender who raped, murdered, and dismembered 17 men and boys between 1978 and 1991. He also committed necrophilia and consumed parts of his victims, dismembering and cooking portions of their bodies. Dahmer was finally apprehended after every victim managed to escape and alert the police. In 1992, Dahmer was tried for 15 of the murders and sentenced to 15 life imprisonments. However, just 2 years into his sentence, he was beaten to death by a fellow inmate. Charles N. and his accomplice Leonard Lake were involved in criminal activities, committing serious acts against 11 to 25 victims on a property in Calaveras County, California. The disclosure of their offenses occurred in 1985 when Lake, in custody, took his own life while NG was apprehended for theft at a hardware store. Authorities, during the investigation of the property, discovered human remains. He was identified as Lake's accomplice in the crimes and attempted to evade the police by heading to Canada. Following extensive extradition process to the United States, NG was tried in 1998 for 12 counts of murder and was convicted in 1999. Currently, he awaits the death penalty at San Quentin State Prison. Pedro Rodrigues Filho, a Brazilian serial killer, was arrested in 1973 and later convicted in 2003 for at least 71 murders. Despite a maximum penalty of 30 years in Brazil, he received a 128-year sentence. Filho's criminal history started at 14, involving robberies and a deadly conflict with local drug traffickers. He even killed his own father while in prison, and his total body count included at least 47 inmates. Although his sentence increased to 400 years due to ongoing murders, he was released in 2007 after serving 34 years, but was rearrested in 2011. Recently, he was murdered after being released despite his extensive criminal record. In the United States, he gained infamy as the Killer Clown, devoting a significant portion of his life to the heinous acts of raping, assaulting, and murdering teenagers in his city. And as he would ruthlessly bring his victims to his residence, where he ended their lives through suffocation or strangulation. Following their deaths, he callously disposed of their bodies beneath the floor of his house, earning him the 12th spot among the world's most notorious serial killers. Cited despite a total of 33 victims. At his trial, he received 21 life imprisonments and 12 death sentences. Ultimately, justice was served, and in May 1994, he was executed for the atrocious crimes he committed. In the realm of serial killers, Luis Alfredo Gravido stands out as the champion for having executed over 300 individuals. His modus operandi involved sexual abuse followed by cruel murders, yet surprisingly, his victims were exclusively young males. Even after being apprehended by the Colombian police, the motive behind his specific targeting of this gender remains unclear. Gravido focused his crimes on street boys and impoverished individuals aged between 8 and 16, luring them with promises of food, money, and gifts. Pedro Lopez, the so-called monster, the NSC operated in at least 3 countries: Ecuador, Peru, and Colombia. At one point, he was apprehended by indigenous people who were aware of his crimes and were about to execute him. He ended up being rescued by an American missionary and later released by the police. Arrested in 1983, he would be deemed mentally unstable and released after being cured in 1998. Unfortunately, he would take another life thought throughout his life. The Colombian was allegedly accused of causing the demise of over 300 individuals, including children. Furthermore, he was released. Harry Ridgway worked as a truck painter and in the meat industry. He became known as the Green River Killer for dumping his victims at the site. Ridgway is convicted of 49 murders, but it is believed he may have killed many more women. He is serving a life sentence. His crimes are recounted in the graphic novel Green River Killer, The Long Pursuit of a Psychopath, written by Jeff Jensen and illustrated by Jonathan Case. The irony of ironies. Ted Bundy, convicted of kidnapping, rape, and the murder of over 30 girls and women, volunteered on a suicide hotline. Additionally, the criminal worked as a telemarketer, stalker, and packer in a grocery store, as well as a table cleaner in restaurants and cafes. He was executed in the electric chair in 1989. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video and want to see more amazing content, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel to stay updated on our latest releases. Until next time,